Hi everyone, thanks for stopping by my channel. Today I'm working from home. You can see the similar background as I normally post on Thursdays. But today I wanted to pick up where I left off regarding progression or progressive overload. Yesterday I talked about really sort of a linear progression where, like for instance, if you were doing one set of chest press, you can either increase the number of repetitions that you do at a given resistance. Okay, so or increase the load, and I'll give you an example of that right now. So, for instance, on the chest press exercise, I think if I were to do one set, I'd have to look through my journals, but if I were to do one set of chest press on my chest press machine, I think I'd do about 300 pounds for, I don't know, if I were to just focus on one set, I might do, 12 to 15 reps with that. So say I did, I don't know, just for easy numbers, just say I did 10 reps week one, come in, warm up, do just one set. The next week I'll maybe do 12 reps. The third week that I come in, do the same warm up, and I may just do again one all out set, just doing one set. I may be able to achieve the 15 reps. If the rep zone or rep prescription was 10 to 15 reps, once I achieve the 15 repetitions, then I would increase the load by 3 to 5%. And the more advanced you get, the smaller the percent will be because you cannot improve. So at the 300-pound mark, 5% would be about 15 pounds. Couldn't increase it probably that much. So that's a linear way to progress. Either increase the number of reps at a given resistance, and then once you achieve a desired rep range, whatever that rep range is, and by the way, there's no magical rep range. Absolutely not. There's no rep dramatic. There's no, okay, if you're going to do hypertrophy training, you only do 6 to 10 reps. If you're going to do, there's no magical rep range. You want to train in the rep range that's suitable for you. But let's stay on point here with regarding progressive overload. So there's an example of just doing one set, one all-out set, and progressing. So let's throw in some volume here. And when you throw in volume, sometimes things get a little confusing. So another way you could progress would be to add sets. Okay, let me give you another example in my own training there regarding the chest press exercise. So if I were to follow one set of chest press for 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks, whatever, I would eventually get to a point where I could no longer increase the number of repetitions with a given resistance. So if I were to stay with that 315 and go on up, I might be able to get to 20 reps, right? Just one all-out set. And so at that point, I might want to start increasing the number of sets. So instead of just doing one all-out set, I might increase it to 2 sets. All right. Now, when I increase it to 2 sets, so I'm now doing 315 or 300 pounds, and I concluded that one set block of training with being able to complete, let's say I completed 15 reps. I couldn't get it any higher, or I just didn't improve. So now I add a set. So here's what will happen. I would go in, and I know this is true because I've trained thousands of people and in my own training. I would go in when I double my number of sets, and I might get 315 for 10. Wow, I decreased, right? Because when I was just doing one set, I maybe did 14 or 15. It's just a fact because I'm diluting my efforts now across 2 sets. So I might get 10 or 12 reps, didn't achieve the 15, and then I rest a minute or two, and then on the second set, especially if I worked hard on the first one, my repetitions completed might drop to 10. So I did 12 and 10. So my total number of repetitions with the 300 pounds is 22, right? 12 plus 10 is 22. So I've automatically increased my training volume. Now, one could argue that my training quality isn't as high because that one set, I was actually able to do a larger number of repetitions with that one set, but my total volume has actually increased. Then the second week of that training cycle, I might do 3 sets. And here's how that 300 pounds would probably look if I did 3 sets. I might get 10 or 11 on the first set. I might get 8 or 9 on the second set. And on the third set, I'd probably get 8. Okay, so let's say I did 10, 8, and 8. All right, so 10 plus 8 plus 8, that's 26. Right? So I've added a third set, but I actually haven't tripled my training volume. Right? So, but I have improved. So 10, 8, and 8, so that's 26. And week 2 of the 2-week cycle, or the 2-set training cycle, I just did 12 and 10, so that was 22. And then the 3 was 26. Sorry, I've got a fly flying around the room. It's distracting me. But yeah, so I'm able to increase my training volume by increasing the number of sets, and therefore sort of being progressive. Okay, so that is an exact illustration, really, of how we should periodize our training. So the 1 set or the super low volume gurus, certainly they've got a point that volume and intensity are inversely proportional. So they could argue, well, you did 1 set with 300 pounds and you did 15 reps. Well, you never approached that once you started adding sets to your training, and that is true. But the fact is my total volume actually did improve. But the whole key to adding volume or adding sets is that you don't have to drive each set as hard as you did with that 15 repetitions on that 1 set, but you're increasing your training volume over those 3 or 4 weeks when you add the reps. Now what will happen is, once you've added 3 or 4 sets in that upper step loading pattern with regard to volume, then what happens is then you would pull it back down maybe to 1 set. And what will happen is, and then maybe stay at 1 set for 3 or 4 weeks. Again, so we went maybe 3 or 4 weeks with the 1 set, okay, and we work up to 15 reps with that 300 pounds. Then we add the second set, add the third set. We might add a 4th set. Then we drop the sets back down to the 1. And what will happen is, originally your best performance was 300 pounds for 15 reps. What will happen is, once you drop it down to the 1 set for the second time through that 1 set cycle, you'll probably get 300 pounds for 12 to 13, maybe 14. You may go on up to 15 or 16. Then week 2, my prediction is you'll probably hit 15 or 16. Week 3 of that 1 set, you'll probably hit 18, which means your performance improved 15 to 20% over the previous lower volume phase. Okay, now we could string the phases out a little bit longer. You might do a lower volume block of 4 to 8 weeks, and then start ramping the volume up and then pull it back. But what happens is, as you get more and more advanced, you do need to vary those cycles and make them a little bit more condensed. So maybe 3 to 4 weeks of the lower volume, then followed by 3 to 4 weeks of the step ups, with an increase in volume each subsequent week, as I described. So as you advance, the periodization blocks get probably a little shorter, probably. Okay. But as someone is new or a novice trainee, I would do 1 to 2 sets of everything for probably 4 to 8 weeks until they get to that point where they're sort of not improving on that 1 or 2 sets per exercise, because it's really easy to measure progression when you don't start as long as you don't start adding a bunch of volume in. But then over time you could do the step loading to that as well. But the bottom line is, at the end of the day, progressive overload reigns supreme. Okay, so we want to be improving some way, increasing the number of repetitions at a given load for an exercise, or the load, the loading, the resistance. Okay, so I know this sort of sounds confusing, but it's sort of kind of intuitive once you get in there and you develop some consistency. Okay, but I don't I don't want anyone out there to think, again, I've mentioned this, don't follow one program for the next 2 years, and expect to improve. But start strength training. If you're not following those 6 exercises, do 1 to 2 sets of each exercise. Record what you're doing. Be progressive. Try to improve. If you're consistent and you work hard, you will get results and you will improve. So that's it for this talk on progression and progressive overload. I hope I haven't confused you. There are many nuances to training, and there's a bit of an art to it. Really, very much an art to strength training and any kind of training human beings for performance or other things. Elite athletics. There's all kinds of things, and trying to talk about exercise programming in a video in which potentially millions of people will view over time is difficult. But I hope I've described the volume intensity relationship, and I hope I've described a bit about how to ramp up the volume, then back it off, and how over a period of time you can be progressive. Okay, that's it for today. Hope you have a great day. Talk to you soon.